Welcome back to this Thursday morning, and you're looking at a live shot, a view from the Century Plaza Hotel and Spa. This is my first Bride and Enter segment. Thanks for joining us.
Floyd, what a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah, you too.
And as you mentioned, the segment, fragrance is a connecting point between plants and people. And the other great thing about it is we don't realize that when you have fragrance in your garden, you're bringing more pollinators into your garden. And the change today, Thor, I think in terms of new plants being available with fragrance in them, is we're choosing plants now that don't have a little 2 or 3 week window. They bloom for all summer long.
Right.
And here's this new butterfly bush, by the way. This one is called Pugster, like a little dog, to get this short and compact. This was loaded with monarch butterflies yesterday.
Oh,
absolutely amazing. And there's kind of new things here. This is what is called a summer sweet. And at this time of year, it's hard to find fragrance in your garden, but summer sweet will do that beautifully. I love this one. This is a lilac that is disease resistant and fragrant, but it blooms twice. They call it bloomerang.
Bloomerang.
Blooms in the spring, blooms in the summertime when we need it most.
Outstanding.
This Daphne is my favorite. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's called Eternal Fragrance because instead of blooming for 3 weeks, it blooms from March until November. Just constantly in our West Coast gardens. It is a great one.
And people like me, scent memory is one of the strongest we have.
Oh,
so
it is.
It's part of sort of growing that nostalgia feel of your garden, so it becomes a place of sort of solitude and peace, right?
No question at all. I do want to talk about this because, as we were talking earlier, gardenias are the classic indoor fragrance that everybody remembers. But they have a powerful perfume. Now we're getting new garden varieties that Zone 7, cheating into Zone 6 a wee bit, are hardy enough to go in many gardens right now. So that lovely fragrance you will have all summer long. But it's an exotic, very unusual fragrance that is absolutely amazing as well.
Reminds me of stuff I smelled when I was in New Orleans, like deep south.
It does.
Talk to us about the different zones. What does that mean?
How hardy is a plant? It's no point putting these plants in your garden if they're not going to make our winters.
No.
All of these will be hardy, certainly Vancouver going into the valley, and that is really, really important. Maybe rosemary might be an exception, needing a little bit of protection.
Okay.
And that's the other thing, talking about herbs, is the fact is, you know, herbs may not have flowers necessarily. These have blue flowers early on. But when you go like this, I never go by a rosemary bush without going like that. You know,
just give it the swipe.
I'd like you to smell this one. This is my favorite.
I get an immediate citrus smell
Isn't it the high lemon? That's called a lemon verbena.
Yeah.
And I never have a glass of water without picking a few leaves, throwing it in the water. It changes the dimension of water. And so not only you get that perfume, you get that lovely flavor change as well, which is kind of cool.
Must be good in a mojito as well.
And I just want to mention two things here. This is a newer rose, and I think the two things, not a high perfume, but we today are getting roses in our garden that we don't have to spray, that don't get the black spot and mildew. A lot of the roses are more compact. This is a new one called At Last, and there's a whole series of roses now getting stronger in perfume, but the disease resistant, so you can enjoy them in a continuous array of color all summer long, and being able to grow in a very small space where we have patios or whatnot. This is a great rose for a patio, and it does well in a container.
I'm glad you mentioned the small spaces, because that's sort of where modern gardening is taking us. A lot of young people, they don't have the gardens, the big spaces, so they're having to adjust, right? Will these ever clash, or do you have to worry about that?
That is a wonderful question. No. I think the new thing today, the trend North American-wide, is appreciation of nature. So the clash of colors, the crash of fragrance makes it more interesting. It's like you never have one thing in your dinner plate. You have a blend of different things, and trying to blend the flavors and the fragrances together is just so important. It really is, and it makes the gardening far more exciting. And yes, I'm glad you picked up on this.
Lavender.
Lavender is so important in today's gardens. It really is.
And so many varieties available now, right?
There are. I would recommend, especially as we're going into midsummer to late fall, do the English lavenders, the angustifolia ones, because those are the ones that are hardy in winter.
Okay.
And you talked about the new varieties earlier on. We're getting varieties now that are more compact and bloom over a longer period of time. And what I love about these is you'll never go near a lavender bush in the summertime without honeybees all over it. And just the sound and just to see them so excited to be able to have lavender in your garden.
Attract those pollinators.
And you know, even some of the annuals, like this beautiful heliotrope. Heliotrope you can put in any container, tuck it in almost anywhere, shade or sun in your garden. And just to add that extra essence to your containers, Yes, you have a beautiful container. Does it have a nice fragrance? So this is the add-on or the value add you can use in so many different ways. And likewise with herbs. Why don't we blend our herbs together? Why don't you put your lavender and your rosemary and your lemon verbena in the same container?
Yeah. Okay.
And so you're constantly being able to use bits and pieces and everything you would make a sandwich or whatever, or some of your drinks you have entertaining. You just go and throw a few of those little snippets in, and it changes the dimension of whatever we have.
And very quickly as we wrap, the importance of watering and not over-watering, right?
Thank you for that. That is so important. It's not a plant and run situation. It takes about 4, 5, 6 months for all of these to become established in your garden. They're all been containers, watered and fed all their life. Now they're on their own. You do need to have a daily attention to go out and make sure that they get the proper. And you mentioned overwatering as well. Good drink, let them dry.
Okay.
And just keep an eye on them, and that's all that's necessary to have all these beautiful plants and fragrances in your garden. And you know what? Now is a great time to put them in.
Awesome. Okay, the website's up, mintergardening.com. Thanks for all these tips on getting our garden smelling sweet.
Thank you, Thor.
All right, take care. We've got weather to come. We've got some cloudy skies. We'll see if rain's in store with Russ next.